You sting once, the barbed apparatus tears free, and a honeybee worker usually dies after stinging mammals. Across the gap, a paper wasp's smoother sting fires again and again. Who survives this duel? Rewind to birth. You hatch in wax among thousands of sisters, or in a paper cell under a branch. In Polistes, a fertilized foundress often starts alone. In Apis, you join a standing city with castes already working. As a bee larva, your sisters feed you nectar and pollen paste. It smells like warm bread. As a wasp larva, hunters chew captured caterpillars into bolus meals. Meat in, growth out. Your queen stocked the city by mating with 12+ drones on flight days, then stored sperm for years. That polyandry makes many half-sister lines. Division of labor and disease buffers start with that number. Your nest is annual. With cold, workers and males die. Only newly mated queens overwinter to restart. Through summer, you hunt soft-bodied prey to feed larvae, while adults sip nectar. Repeating stings defend the comb. Winter closes. Your hive forms a tight heat-saving cluster, alive on stored honey. A winter cluster can sit around Or's 5,000 bees. That's a city designed to outlast cold. New worker, you start inside, clean cells, feed brood, and evaporate nectar toward honey while glands prime. As a wasp worker, you leave early to hunt soft-bodied prey, caterpillars macerated for larvae, adults still sip nectar. Barbed lancets lock into thick skin. The sting apparatus tears free and keeps pumping, costing a worker her life. Most vespid stingers lack deep barbs, withdraw cleanly, and can strike again. Defense tactics diverge because of this. A drone's successful mating rips his endophallus. He dies shortly after passing genes. Later, drones are expelled as forage wanes. Wasp males appear late, mate, then die as the annual city collapses. When a queen weakens, workers raise a daughter. Supersedure swaps rulers while the city keeps working. Perennial survival favors turnover over loyalty. A hive outlives its queens by design. A fertilized paper wasp foundress often starts alone on one stalk, building an umbrella comb. She lays eggs and provisions larvae with macerated prey until workers emerge and the city accelerates. Autumn triage begins. Drones are pushed from the entrance and left to fail in the chill. Brood contracts. Workers conserve stored honey and tighten the cluster. Winter, not rivals, now decides survival. Mid-late summer, your paper city peaks. Hunters stream out for caterpillars and soft-bodied prey. Adults drink nectar. Larvae get meat. Repeated stings defend full cells and risky lunches. You graduate to forager, leaving brood care for flights that trade time for sugar and pollen. Back inside, nectar is fanned into honey, portable fuel your winter cluster can actually live on. At the nest rim, guards hover. Smooth stings withdraw cleanly, so pursuit stays possible. Sugary smells draw trouble around food. Repeated strikes make intruders back off fast. Quick myth check. The worker that dies after stinging is mainly the honeybee hitting mammal skin. Most wasps, with smoother stingers, can strike again. Score fairness matters. Rules shape survival. Cold creeps in. Prey slows. Paper cities keep little in reserve, so work stops and hunger grows. Mated queens leave to overwinter. Workers and males fade with the nest. Annual design closes. Inside the hive, bodies churn positions to share heat, while honey feeds the furnace. Endurance beats speed now. Stored sugar powers motion and warmth until blossoms return. Your umbrella comb hangs in the open. Heat leaks, rain and predators test every cell. Open architecture speeds hunting, but offers little insulation when weather shifts. At the entrance, you weigh deterrence against a fatal sting. Survival hates waste. One life traded must protect thousands. A fair duel counts costs, not just courage. Mated gines slip into shelters for winter, each a seed for next spring's nest. The workforce and males dwindle on the comb. The founding season shuts down. You're built hairier and flower-focused, loading pollen while sipping sugars. That design ties survival to blooms and stored honey, not prey on demand. First frost arrives. The paper city goes silent as activity collapses. Only overwintering queens persist. Repeated stings never beat an empty pantry. Your hive counts calories, not enemies. Honey is the winter currency. The referee marks a round. Perennial planning versus annual sprint. Next, worker lifespans. On an open comb, late-season workers meet weather and hunger with little reserve. Careers shorten fast. Annual design values speed. Success is counted in mated daughters, not surviving workers. Inside the hive, losses open slots. Younger workers step up as foragers, while brood care reshuffles. Flexible staffing replaces fallen foragers and guards the honey budget through cold weeks. As prey dwindles, adults pivot harder to sugars, fallen fruit, sap, and whatever humans spill. Risk concentrates near food, but meat for larvae thins. Provisioning stutters before the cold finishes it. Mid-match tally. One empire banks fuel and keeps workers. The other seeds the future, then ends the workforce. So far, the spring ticket looks like stored honey versus hidden queens. Which birth still has bodies on duty? Overwintering queens shelter in dry cracks, bark, or eaves, carrying next spring's potential. Everything else stopped at frost. The city, the workers, the males. Reset waits on a few survivors. Your queen survives inside, served by attendants and insulated by bodies and stored fuel. When thaw returns, one side restarts from one queen. The other opens a ready workforce. Spring will judge. Warmth returns, and you, a mated paper wasp queen, leave shelter to claim a dry beam. You scrape wood into pulp, mold the first stalk and cells, then lay eggs to seed workers. Inside the hive, the winter knot loosens. Flyers test warm air and chart fresh bloom routes. Recruits decode a waggle's angle to the sun and distance, then launch efficient foraging. Before workers exist, you hunt alone, chewing caterpillars into paste for the first larvae. No pantry backs you. Rain or wind can ground flights, and brood growth stalls without meat. Pollen returns protein for brood. Nectar fuels wax-making to repair cells and expand births. Age-based roles flex with demand. Strong nutrition lifts brood survival well before any swarm choices. First workers emerge. The city shifts from solo sprint to team defense and steadier hunting. Guards sting, withdraw, and sting again, even pursuing threats beyond the nest edge. Ref calls the round. Wasps now field guards with repeat strikes. Bees hold stores, numbers, and maps. Both births advance, but designs diverge. Annual sprint versus perennial budget. Next costs decide your odds. Division of labor settles. Hunters provision larvae, builders add cells, guards patrol the rim. Open architecture still leaks heat. Rain and predators test growth every warm hour. Inside, brood frames fill. Nurses feed larvae rich jelly, while fresh pollen pours in. The budget turns outward. Foragers chase nectar surges to rebuild honey before summer stress. Warm afternoons load prey paths. Hunters work edges, where caterpillars chew leaves. Meat keeps larvae developing. Gaps in hunting slow growth immediately. There's no stored protein. Ref notes another cost line. Bees burn energy fanning to ventilate heat as brood ramps. Wasps spend less on cooling, but more on hunting and defense. Score depends on your risk tolerance. Defense peaks, guards chase and sting repeatedly, pushing threats off the beam. The twist. Courage doesn't fix supply. Rain shuts hunting, and larvae wait unfed until weather breaks. Inside, steady foraging lifts stores, wax rebuilt, brood strong, and guards hold the entrance without waste. Soon males will matter again. For now, survival favors patience and fuel. Next round measures the cost of sons. As cells fill, male wasps emerge. They don't hunt or guard, they wait to mate. They sip sugars and add mouths to feed. In an annual city, sons are a short-term expense. In the hive, drones swell the roster. They don't forage. Workers feed them fuel. Ref keeps it fair. Sons are insurance for mating flights, but they tax the honey budget now. Males work foliage edges, scenting and courting receptive queens from nearby nests. After mating, they drift toward the season's end. They don't overwinter. The line persists through mated queens. On warm flights, drones chase a queen high above fields. Success ends their life. The rest return to honey at dusk, a temporary grace. As forage wanes, eviction will come. Late summer cools. Hunting thins. Males and workers fail with the nest. Defense no longer matters. Mated queens leave the comb and vanish into shelters. Sons end here. Only founders carry spring. When nectar slows, the entrance hardens. Drones lose feeding rights and are forced from the city. This triage saves the cluster's sugar furnace. The male round closes with budget, not bravery. Autumn bites, hunting stops, and your umbrella comb empties. The founding queen fails, and work ends. Males and workers are gone. Only newly mated queens persist away from the nest. Brood narrows, and workers lock shoulders. Flight muscles shiver heat, while honey pays the bill. Drones are gone. Guards avoid one-use stings. Winter becomes budgeting, not battle. You, a mated wasp queen, tuck into dry shelter under bark, alone and nearly still. No comb, no attendants, no stores. Spring happens only if your body survives the freeze. Ref sets the ledger. The hive keeps a living cluster with a mated queen. The paper city collapses to scattered mated queens in hiding. Old rulers end, superseded or dead. Males are gone. The bloodline crosses winter on mated queens, not on workers or sons. Pick your birth and score the rounds. Winter writes the same sentence in different handwriting. A mated queen carries the line across cold, one inside a city of workers, a few alone in cracks. Where would you survive?